welcome, everybody, back to a brand new episode of the Trans Lesson Plan, your go-to podcast for transgender history. As always, I'm your host, Mari. And it is an absolute pleasure to be here with you all today. I apologize once again for being gone for the last couple of days, really weeks. I got a hiccup with my house, which is requiring me to record this particular episode on the road. So I will give you all an update with that momentarily because it's actually good news. But since I have been able to be at home with my professional equipment, I have been having to figure out a way that I can record an episode at all for you all so that you're not left in the dust. So this is my first ever traveling episode. Well, episode where I'm traveling and I get to record it for you all. So if my audio might be a little bit different, I apologize in advance. But I would rather give something to you all than nothing. So welcome, everybody. I said my intro, I think, right? I'm your host, Mari. Yeah, I think I did. Okay, cool. Sorry, there's a lot going on, so I'm thinking. All right. As I always like to do, I like to welcome my listeners. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Trans Lesson Plan podcast. I really hope you enjoy, even though this might not be, like I said, my best episode as I'm recording on the road. But I hope you thoroughly enjoy it. If you are new, all I always like to do is just kind of give a little bit of a background about the podcast. You know, this podcast is not just about history, but it also serves as a platform for education. So, I'm providing valuable insights into the issues that's faced by the transgender community. And my overall goal is to inspire understanding, promote inclusivity, and to continue to spark conversations about our community, with the expert knowledge and resources that I share for you all to learn on your own time. Each episode is intentionally designed to be concise yet comprehensive, with a duration of about 15, and I'm going to say now 25, 30-ish minutes. It kind of being a little bit longer because I've been having a lot to share in these podcast episodes lately. So about 15 to 30 minutes. Give you something to start with, but you can learn more on your own time and along the way. So welcome. If this is your very first time here. To all my return listeners, I always like to say I thank and love you all so much for continuing to support the podcast. I looked at my Spotify Wrapped analytics for the year, and Spotify specifically, not Apple. And I saw that we have spiked tremendously from the previous year and this year, technically, specifically. What I would like to tell you all as a quick tip is consistency is key, even though I have been slacking on that over the last couple of months. But consistency is key. So if you have something in your brain that you really want to make it big, just continue to work with it. This is my baby now. So once I kind of get everything done with the house thing that I got going on, we'll be literally locked and loaded for the next couple of years, y'all. So that is the plus side. So thank you all for continuing to support the podcast. If you're not following, which I did check, a lot of people listen, but they're not following the podcast. So follow the podcast. Thank you. I don't ask for money, so I at least hope that I can get a follow. But welcome everybody today. So today's episode, very compelling because I'm actually going to be talking about a very, very, very special woman who goes by the name of Tracey Norman, who broke ground as the first African-American trans woman to achieve significant prominence in the fashion industry. The reason why Tracey actually came up was I was supposed to do an episode on Tracey, I think, a couple of seasons ago. And I got sidetracked with other things that came up. And then I had recently seen a tweet on Twitter, or AKA X, about Tracey. I was like, yes, I gotta go back to that episode. So the funny thing is I found it, did my research all over again just to make sure I didn't miss anything brand new since then. And, I'm happy to come back to this, actually. So today we're going to be talking about Miss Tracey. So let me get this up. I'm so sorry, y'all. I thought I had it up and it just glitched on me. All right, here we go. All right, let's get started. Tracey Africa Norman was born in Newark, New Jersey in 1952. And from day one, she knew who she really was, to be honest. Growing up, she went on this amazing journey, really, of figuring herself out like all of us trans individuals do. Really watching and learning all about being feminine in her case from the awesome women who were actually surrounding her. Quick side note for me, I didn't really know much about the trans community growing up, but the kids nowadays, they kind of get a little bit more of a first-hand glance to kind of get a little bit of inspiration about, their identity. And I think it's pretty cool. So I think for me, I learned a lot from the male men in my family who are very great examples. And a little bit just like TVs and movies, which I think a lot of people probably do as well. But in Tracey's case, as I mentioned, she learned from the women that surrounded her, actually. With careful attention to detail, she absorbed their subtle yet distinctive mannerisms and carefully noted their unique ways of navigating the complexities of the world that were around them. Now, with that, this transformative period really of Tracey's growth and the self-realization reached its pinnacle in 1972 when, following up really from her high school graduation, she made the courageous decision to really embrace her authentic self fully and openly. And this is in one of the interviews that she had did. You can check out the video. I'm gonna put it in the episode description where she had this video talking about that, actually. And in that moment, that will shape really the course of her life, where she found not only just acceptance, but unwavering support and unconditional love from her mother, who really created the foundation of strength for the journey that she would actually face ahead. So Norman's ascent into the modeling industry actually began to take shape in the mid-1970s, with her first steps into the fashion world occurring at local shows in Newark. Now, her life-changing breakthrough actually arrived when she captured the attention of legendary photographer Irving Penn, whose discerning eye immediately recognized her extraordinary potential and unique beauty. And if you've never seen Tracey Norman, please look her up on Google search. Excuse me. She's an absolutely gorgeous, and I mean gorgeous woman. And honestly, Irving being able to pick that up, man. Like I said, if you can find a picture of her, which I know that you will find on Google, please look it up. And with this pivotal encounter led to a prestigious photo shoot with Italian Vogue, which served as a launching pad that would prepare her career to remarkable heights. Her rising success accumulated in securing a prestigious contract with Clairol for their influential Born Beauty campaign, which you actually will see. That's one of her most prominent ones. You may see fairly often, and establish her presence in the competitive world of high fashion. Despite her remarkable achievements, Norman's success in this high-stakes fashion industry, which we all know of, was accompanied by a constant underlying current of anxiety and fear about the possibility of being outed. This persistent tension reached its crucial turning point in 1980, during what was meant to be a routine photo shoot for Essence magazine, where her transgender identity was unexpectedly revealed to the industry. The consequences of this revelation provided both immediate and devastating to her career. Carefully planned photo shoots and modeling agencies vanished virtually overnight, and long-standing relationships with agencies were abruptly severed. And even the photographs from that final faithful shoot were permanently shelved and never to be seen publication. Never to see publication, my apologies. Now, facing the widespread rejection in New York's fashion scene, Norman demonstrated remarkable resilience by relocating to Paris, where she found success performing at prestigious nightclub, The Palace, which I can't remember if The Palace is still around. I haven't been to Paris yet, but I feel like I think I still hear about it. Before securing a covenant contract with the fashion house Balenciaga. Now, when opportunities in Europe began to wane, she returned to New York and immersed herself in the vibrant ballroom scene, joining the renowned House of Africa. And her professional modeling experience and natural grace made her an exceptional performer, eventually earning her the esteemed position of mother within the house. Yet Tracey Norman's compelling story took an unexpected and inspiring turn when in 2015, a watershed moment arrived when New York Magazine published an extensive, intimate profile that brought her journey back to the spotlight. This feature catalyzed an extraordinary career renaissance that would have seemed impossible decades earlier. And in a powerful statement that reflected both societal progression and corporate commitment to inclusivity, Clairol made the groundbreaking decision to welcome her back as the face of their nice and easy color as real as you are campaign. This reunion was particularly meaningful given her historic relationship with the brand, and the campaign's messaging beautifully celebrated her authentic self and remarkable journey throughout the decades, which I think personally a fantastic thing we look back in 2015 for one, because I feel as though that's when a lot of trans representation in any sorts of media became like prominent. I won't say prominent, but like starting to get its flowers. And with Tracey's being in the fashion industry, and even like today, now what we see a lot in fashion is a lot of different race, ethnicities, body types, etc. I think is an amazing step forward from what it used to be way, way back in the day, where it was very one size. You may have a little diversity here and there, but now it's actually a lot better to include all kinds of different people. And one thing that I love for a fact is in New York, there's like I can't remember what clothing company it is. It's one that I've modeled for before my past. Is it Trans Guy Supply? I think they do theirs too. But like, there are fashion shows that like trans owned products do to like showcase their clothing and things like that. To allow, like I said, different type of inclusivity. And people do that on their own. Basically, a ballroom scene is basically like a fashion show too. But it's like, you get to see it also in mainstream fashion, which isn't really that much. I feel like supposed to be like what's the word I'm looking for? The gold mine, I think, with the amount of creative people that we have around in the world, being able to create a space there, everybody can be seen and you can kind of showcase your own fashion, the clothes that you wear, etc. It's great to have more inclusivity within that field. That's basically what I'm trying to say. The momentum continued in the following year, when Norman achieved another historical milestone by becoming one of the first two openly transgender models to grace the cover of Harper's Bazaar, sharing this groundbreaking achievement with fellow model Jenna Rosero. This cover's appearance represented not just personal triumph, but a significant shift, in fashion industry's approach to representation and inclusion. Now, what truly distinguishes really Norman's story is her extraordinary resilience in the face of systemic discrimination, right? And her pioneering role really in creating the pathways for future generations today, like I just mentioned about the inclusivity within the fashion industry. Really marked by both the tremendous successes that she's had, but also profound challenges that have helped pave the way for greater acceptance and understanding in the industry. Even right now, at the age of 71, she's continuing to serve really as an inspiration to many through, though she candidly, acknowledges the ongoing challenges of living in what she describes quote unquote survival mode, which she had mentioned in an interview. A testament really to the continuing struggles faced by many in the transgender community as we all see today. So it's particularly noteworthy that Norman really maintains a nuanced and complex relationship with identity labels that she had mentioned as well. Throughout her life, really, she has consistently identified simply as a woman, really observing that terms like trans were primarily attached to her name by media outlets really late in her career. Reflecting, broader societal shifts in language and understanding. And its perspective offers really valuable insight into the ever-evolving nature of identity terminology and the importance of respecting individual self-identification. One thing I want to say is that I often get this question. It's not really a question. It's really more of a statement, but people try to say it in a question way about how our community ever evolves with terminologies, which is totally understandable. A lot of times, as you may hear from our trans elders, they will normally tell you that these terminologies weren't really used too much, or all the new pronouns, or not pronouns, all new terminologies weren't really used that much, or they never used them really to identify who they were, or they never even, thought about using the term trans at the time, whether it's because they knew about it or they didn't know about it, and etc. Me personally, and as an educator and historian, I always try to respect, like I said, individual self-identification. Same thing with Tracey's story, right? Where, as I just mentioned, that it's very noteworthy that she does say this, like in her interviews, as I mentioned, that I have watched and read the transcripts for, um, about that complex relationship with identity labels today. Just because we know that they're there, right? But we also know that, like I said, it's really more for the new babies, right? Coming out and just finding things that work best for them to help them navigate a society where you can really be whoever you want, which you should be anyway. But that's why we have so many different labels and things. Like I said, respect individual self-identification. If people do decide that they do not want to use particular languages to identify who they are, that's 1000% okay. But also be open to listening about their identities and how they describe themselves, and learn from that too as well. And learn how, if that does come up again in the future, that you can be aware, you can be knowledgeable about it. That's kind of like my historian piece to kind of bring out. To wrap up today's episode, as I always like to do, is the key takeaways. The first one is that Miss Norman's pioneering representation, becoming the first Black trans model to achieve mainstream success in the fashion industry during the 1970s, as I mentioned now, really opening doors for future generations. Her work, really with big brands and appearances in prestigious publications, marked historic milestones for trans visibility and fashion. Her cultural impact, and the involvement in the ballroom scene and her role as a mother, really, for the House of Africa, talks about, really, that's more for like chosen family and community support systems, which you all really, really know about. Having a career renaissance, being able to get back and have that reemergence into the fashion industry to discuss really the evolution of society's acceptance and the industry, inclusivity over the decades. Identity and language, and I'll put that in there because although I just went on a slight rant about it not too long ago, like I said, her personal perspective on identifying really just as a woman rather than trans provides, like I said, that important historical context about identity terminology and self-identification and the involvement of that. Professional, barriers. I won't say it's a barrier, but she really kind of stopped in her modeling career really to like the 1980s. But like I said, from being outed, really documents really the severe discrimination faced by trans individuals in the workplace, even during that era, even in 1980. Well, shit, it was long. Oh, I'm sorry for the kids out there. That was long. But yeah. And then lastly, like I just said, being her latest achievement in 2016 for the Harper's Bazaar cover with her counterpart reflects the fashion industry's gradual progress towards greater acceptance, representation in the media. So to conclude, Tracey Norman's extraordinary journey stands as more than a personal triumph, right? It represents a pivotal chapter in transgender history, really demonstrating the transformative power of authenticity and unwavering perseverance while breaking down longstanding barriers in the fashion industry. Her story continues really to resonate and inspire new generations to embrace their truth, pursue your dreams, regardless really of the obstacles that you all may face. Tracey will absolutely be a part of transgender history books in the future if she isn't already now, which I think some books that I have read includes her in that. But as we either create textbooks or whatever the future does hold for transgender education and history, I definitely know she's being talked about, if I had to guess, in, I won't say trans study media classes. It might be a little bit more specific. I don't really know what those might be called. She might be in the media classes too. But like I said, taking her life, being one of the first to do it big out here and do the damn thing. Sorry for the kids out there. Damn isn't a bad word, but to do the thing and have so much impact is absolutely fantastic. So shout out to Miss Tracey. if she ever does hear this episode, I thank you for your amazing life and the impact that you have made today. I was a model in my one past time, and I do not do it now. But it was fun. It was fun. All right, y'all, to wrap up, I would like to thank you all for listening to today's episode. It is an absolute pleasure to have you all make it this far. If you would like, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Trans Lesson Plan. If you want to follow me, the host Mari, you can follow me at mariiiwrld. That is MAR3ISWRLD. As I just mentioned, you all get the good news about what's going on right now for me and why I had a slight delay in the recording of this episode. But with that, like I said, we will be getting back into the regular scheduled program as quickly as I possibly can. But the travel still works. I'm able to get this episode out, so I am grateful for that. So until next time, everybody, I hope that you all have a great holiday season coming up. You will get one episode next week and probably even the Christmas holiday as well. So just as a heads up, just because I am 2 weeks behind. So enjoy your weekends. Have a great week because this will drop on Sunday. And I will see you all next time. Peace.